Drive Green is by far the largest specialist EV dealership in the UK. And helping you find the right electric van for you and your working lifestyle needs is what we do. Our knowledge and experience in these vehicles is what will help us to help you find the perfect electric van for your needs. Choosing an electric van is slightly easier than choosing an electric car. Since it's a functional item, it's the practical requirements that are more important than the vanity issues like style and brand. As a result, there's a few key things you need to consider when trying to choose the right electric van for you. The size you need is the first practical issue. How much do you need to carry, and how big do you need the van to be? Big isn't always better, as compact vans are more suitable for urban driving, particularly where roadside parking is required. I think it's reasonable to say trying to have a van that's as small as possible that still provides the space you need is a good general rule of thumb. It is, however, important to make sure the van can carry all the goods and equipment you need it to. When you're looking at compact vans, there are two primary choices. You've got the Renault Kangoo ZE and the Nissan ENV200. The Nissan ENV200 is perhaps the best known electric van. Compact in size, competent in its role, and it drives like a car. It's been around for quite a long time, so there's a huge variety out there, ranging from the earlier, cheaper 24 kilowatt-hour models, which are perhaps the cheapest electric vans available, up to the newer 40 kilowatt models, which have a superb driving range. It is, however, small, so it does have a very limited load space, so that needs to be borne in mind. The other is the Renault Kangoo ZE, which offers a much bigger load area if you were to go for its long wheelbase option. And it also offers great value, especially for the range you can get from the newer 33 kilowatt-hour models. If you're after a compact van but you need a bit more load space, then the Renault Kangoo ZE could be the one for you, particularly in its longer wheelbase format. There is huge demand for these smaller vans, and the compact van is where the EV was originally most appealing, as they drive just like a car and the range is preserved due to its lower weight. These compact vans are perfect for driving in the city, which is also where these electric vans are of huge appeal in order to comply with the growing number of UK low-emission zones. Compact vans like these are great for city driving, however they're not suitable if you need to carry larger loads. Then you move up to the medium-sized van space, where at the moment there's two primary choices. You've got the Mercedes e-Vito and the Volkswagen e-Transporter. Both are what you would call medium size. However, if you want it a little bit bigger, then the e-Vito is the one for you. Both are big enough to suit most people's needs. They're ideally sized for most tradesmen, they're great delivery vehicles, and this perfect sizing is what makes them so popular. They're great quality, big name brands, and the Transporter is obviously a vehicle icon in its own right. If you're looking for a really big van, there's now a few choices out there. Mercedes do an electric Sprinter, Renault do an electric Master, and you've also got the LDV EV80. The EV80 is now much more commonly available in the used market, as LDV pumped out loads of these to delivery companies. And as such, it is a great value option if you need something big. The Sprinter and the Master are both considerably more expensive than the LDV and in much shorter supply. There's now lots of these LDVs available out in the used market where they were so popular as delivery vehicles a couple of years ago, so it does make them extremely good value. Once you've decided on the size of van you need, the next most important practical consideration is the range of the van, how far you need it to go. Truth be told, range isn't quite as important as people think, however it is critical that the van is able to do all your regular daily working drives. Most tradesmen only operate in the immediate local area and often within just a 10-mile radius, and most delivery drivers nowadays have quite a compact route. The important thing to do is to look at your actual daily driving, how far you're actually having to drive your van for work, and then making sure that you pick a van that actually can comfortably cover that driving range. Especially with vans, there isn't one range figure, as there are so many variables affecting what you can achieve. Speed, weight and time of year, for example. As vans are larger vehicles, they've got the greater capacity to carry weight. And obviously the more weight you carry, the more your range is going to be affected. They also tend to have quite open, poorly insulated cab spaces, which will take more energy to heat in winter. So there are a number of variables that are going to affect your range, and this needs to be borne in mind. As always, look at what you need your van to do and plan for a worst case scenario. So what you need your van to do in terms of perhaps carrying its heaviest load in the coldest day of the year. Vans are starting to come out now with upwards of 150 miles of range, but when you're looking at used vans that are most freely available, the realistic range tops out at about 130 to 140 miles. However, that more than covers the vast majority of most vans' daily driving workload. The earlier vans, like the early ENV200 and the early Kangoo ZE, they're able to do somewhere in the region of sort of 50 to 80 miles worth of driving range. However, in the worst case scenario, you are perhaps looking at about 50 miles. So bear that in mind. But if you find actually you need a low range vehicle and it will be sufficient for you, there are some great value buys when you look at the earlier vehicles. All the other newer vans all sit in a higher range category, perhaps doing 80 to 130 miles. If range is a really important factor, then probably the best game in town is the 40 kilowatt Nissan ENV200, which is capable quite comfortably of doing 120 to maybe even 140 miles, maybe even 160 for slow speed urban driving, which really is excellent. The 33 kilowatt Renault Kangoo's not bad either, to be fair. That's going to be doing 100 to 120 miles as well. Once you start looking at the bigger vans, the range does suffer a little bit. So with them, you're looking, generally speaking, say for something like the Vito or the Sprinter, you're looking perhaps closer to maybe 80 to 100 miles worth of driving range. The LDV's not bad though, it's got a big 56 kilowatt hour battery, so you're looking slightly upwards of 100 miles, I would say, in most case scenarios. There are now a new generation of vans with even bigger batteries, like the new Sprinter and the new Vito, all of which are able to do over 150 miles potentially, and possibly soon even 200 miles. But in terms of real-world availability, they are not really quite a thing yet, as supply issues are holding back the numbers. As I said before, the key is understanding what you need your van to do. It doesn't necessarily need to be the van with the highest range, it just needs to be capable of doing what you need it to do work-wise on a daily basis. The range of your electric van can of course be extended by rapid charging it. However, it's important that most of your daily driving is covered by the battery's range. The bigger challenge, however, is of course finding a public charging bay that's big enough to accommodate a van. It's fine with this little Nissan here, but when you're looking at the bigger vans, it can be a bit of a squeeze because most charging bays are in fact designed for cars. Plus, not all of the vans, such as the Kangoo and the early ENV200, can actually rapid charge. But most charging is, however, done at home or at the workplace on a 3-pin charging lead or a fast charger. And most vans will never need to do a journey outside of their normal range. Once you know how big a van you need and how far you need to drive it each day, then it just becomes a matter of budget. Range costs money, so making it work with a shorter range vehicle like an early ENV200 and an early Renault Kangoo is a sure way to save some money. Generally speaking, size also costs money, so again, making it work with a smaller van is another way to save money. Third and final way is brand choice. The LDV being a prime example, it's an awful lot cheaper than the e-Sprinter or the Renault Master. The main thing when choosing an electric van is to make sure it fits the job you want it to do, and it fits it in terms of size, capacity and driving range. We have a big selection of all these vans at Drive Green, big and small and at every price point, and with all the specialist advice that comes from years of working with EVs. So we are the perfect place to visit to try and choose the right electric van for you. I hope this video has been helpful, but please do be sure to check out our other electric van review videos on our YouTube channel. And hopefully we can help you find the right electric van for you. Thank you very much for watching.